Hello, beautiful souls. This is Diane from Wisdom of the Akashics. First, I'd like to thank you for coming to the video. If you've been part of my channel for a while, you'll see there was a big gap in terms of videos. I've actually taken about a week off. It would be about the end of January, maybe February last year, when I kind of stopped doing videos, and then all of a sudden they're just being brought forward again. So in the meantime, I was working on my business and coaching and Akashic Records, and also my relationship that I was experiencing, and in regards to what we deem twin flames, which again really is a word that it's kind of losing its meaning, because it's entering this world of fantasy, and it's not really serving a lot of us. So, you know, that's kind of what I want to talk about today, is that, so make sure my phone is turned down, because it keeps sending off alerts, there's so much of what's going on and what your experience will be, and what they actually asked me to talk about. And I did a video, it was about 22 minutes long. I just, you know, kind of spoke it all out, and then the video didn't take. So I've decided to do it again. And I'll try to basically get the same point across. So what it is that is really important for everyone to realize, regardless, and this applies to every area of your life. I'm going to talk about it in relationship to that twin soul experience, but is what's happening to you will be very, very, very clearly directed and being driven by the belief system that you have around what's happening to you. Your belief systems, our belief systems, my belief systems, whatever way you want to word it, they are the driving force of our outward experiences. Once we hold a belief system, first of all, it's high vibrational. Something that's actually instilled as a belief, that we're upholding as a belief, it's high vibrational. So it has a match. You're going to have a vibrational match to that belief system. If you believe that the twin journey is hard, that there's it's taking everything from you, that you're the twin is the one with the problem, the twin is the one that's the runner, all of those will bring you a certain outcome and a consequence, because it's mired in the belief system. It's very hard for somebody to come forward in our life, twin or not, and come into our life, fulfill it, stay, and be in the energy of love and happiness and joy and honesty and respect and fun and communication with somebody, when we don't believe that a really great guy exists, when we don't believe somebody will stay, when we don't believe underlyingly we're not worthy, men can't be trusted, women can't be trusted, everybody on the earth is just out for themselves. Those belief systems are driving the experience. The reason that they asked me to talk about this is because there's whatever your belief system is around what a twin flame is. There's a totally different discussion about, is this my twin flame? And I talked about that in the other video, and I'll probably talk about that again. But whatever your belief system is about what a twin flame is going to drive your experience. If you believe that your twin flame is birthed into the universe, you're birthed in as one soul that separates into two individual entities. So you are one's will hold the higher energy of the feminine, one would be the masculine, and that would be the balance. That they show it to me like yin yang, like the perfect union in yin yang is the balance of the feminine masculine. If you believe that you were birthed into the universe as that, and that soul comes forward, and that they bring us, there are literally our other half, Well, that belief system will drive your twin flame story. It will, behind that belief system will be, there isn't any other one for me. Once I've met my twin, I won't be able to have a deep relationship with somebody else. If I don't come into union with my twin, I'll be alone the rest of my life. Do you see where I'm going with this? That's your belief system. If you believe that you were birthed in the universe as one soul that's separated into two entities, but that person is here to bring you to the highest version of yourself. That person is going to be your wake-up call to open your heart and love, but they're still your twin and they're here to bring the highest lesson to you. Then you're going to have an outcome from that. Your openness to have the twin, your openness to allow the relationship to unfold, your openness to be willing to let them be where they are without judgment is very different than. So it's the underlying belief system is the same. I'm a twin. I'm birthed into the universe like this. But then your belief system around the story, around men, a lot of people, women, a lot of people, I've talked recently about how they are buying the fantasy of the twin relationship, not the reality of the twin relationship. I've said this many times in my videos, is that, it's not for the lighthearted, but, true, conditional, open-hearted, accepting where a person at love isn't easy. I mean, you can absolutely love the crap out of somebody and they can still drive you crazy. There's going to be ebb and flow. I tell people, look for rolling hills in your life and get out of the peaks and valleys, because that's when the peaks and valleys means the high is way up here and then the low, when you hit a low, you go way the hell down here versus, we're having a rough patch. Yeah, I believe that there's somebody on the earth for me. Maybe I'll be in my twin. That, not getting a text message reply back in like 5 minutes doesn't mean the earth has fallen to shit and, something's wrong. They're never going to speak to us again. All that type of stuff. That's our own internal baggage. That's our own internal stuff. And what happens is we're reflecting that out and the twin will mirror back to us. They'll mirror, everyone does this too. It doesn't take a twin to do this. Everyone will be mirroring back to us what our insecurities are. If you really dislike something in someone, I always tell people, go find out where you dislike that in yourself, because that's ultimately what's happening. If we look at everybody brings us a gift in some sort of, that's a behavior, somebody teaches me what I don't want to be like. Well, if you look at that and say, well, I'm just being shown what I don't want to be like when somebody's out there outwardly being like this. Bullying. Unfortunately, bullying is completely out of control on the earth and it's taking place between children, and now we have this mass communication that can really be harmful. But bullying can go on later in life. Bullying, there's adult bullying going on. Controlling and manipulating relationship. Not letting anybody out of your sight. Not trusting them. It's just another form. So when you don't allow somebody out of your sight because you don't trust them, that's a reflection. Where don't I trust myself? What are they? And they may be mirroring, they may be giving you lots of reasons to do that. But when the point is that when you're focusing on the negativity in somebody else, we're leaving everything outside of ourselves. We're not asking any internal questions. My life is shit because they're doing this, right? That's a very big indicator. You're not looking at yourself because you're putting all of your outcomes are based on what other people doing instead of what role we're playing. There's a belief system right now. I got even an email the other day, and a lady was a beautiful lady that I've spoken to in person and talked about, don't buy into the paradigm. There's too many incorrect information about twins right now, and that there's lots of twins on the earth for us, and there's a twin that is there for you and that has your back, and it's not that that a twin isn't the one person on the earth for us. Well, if that's your belief system and that belief system is the one that works for you, I'm like, have at that. But you got to ask yourself those questions, because that teacher or those teachers that are now saying twin flames aren't one soul birthed into the universe separated in two, that we come to the earth and there can be 10 twins on the earth for us, which just means that there's a good vibrational match for us and there's 10 of them out there. We just have to go find that. That's a belief system. And when you have that belief system, you're going to have different experiences and outcomes from that belief system than you are saying this person is bringing all of this to me. When I was started in the twin area, when I was asking spirit, when I would go into my journeys and my meditation, they showed it to me like yin yang. You are one, you are each other's perfect vibrational match, not perfect human being, but you are the vibrational match to bring the highest story to one another. If you ended up in union, and that was chosen in this lifetime, and somebody can intend to choose for a union, the twins you can have an agreement with the soul when you come to earth that, when we get together, when we find each other, we're going to go into union, and then free will changes everything. That person gets somebody pregnant when they're younger. That person gets molested when they're younger. Their whole trajectory can change, which can change an entire life path. And other people say, well, that must have been meant to be. I don't ride down the road, everything is meant to be. I get that you can find purpose in it because you choose to. But because somebody poked a hole in a condom and got pregnant so as to let the man think that the condom was safe, or that the man poked the hole in the condom, or the woman, it's just an analogy I'm using, but that's that person would very well be feeling they're having safe sex with somebody because they're using a condom, and then you find out that intentionally somebody wanted the pregnancy and put that other person aside. That's a very selfish thing to do, and shit like that actually happens on the earth. And so do you understand what I'm saying? I'm just saying that that's a situation that changes a life path. It wasn't planned ahead of time. I'll meet you on such and such a night on bar on such and such street. I'm gonna have sex with somebody, etc. I hope this talk's ending up different than the last one, but different examples, same point. So what I'm saying though is the belief will drive what's happening to your story, right? I was seeing my twins 6, 10, 8, 12 times a day, every day. 5, 6, 7 days a week, sometimes maybe 4, but hardly ever less than 4 to 6 times a day that I see him. I've seen him maybe 7 times in the last year. His job changed. He's not driving by my house anymore. I don't see him. He lives in the country. I went into a whole, experience of what all this was about, and I was trying to focus on my business and all of this stuff, but I realized that I still hold this massive amount of energy and love for him in my heart. The love that I felt by finding him, connecting with him, talking to him, planning a life together, the things that we did, we started to talk about that experience and coming together in union. All of that's like, what was that all about? But I realized this man, my guy that I just still think is the most beautiful man on earth to me, he cracked the code. He cracked the code to my heart. And I believe that was meant to happen. I was 51 years old the first time I laid eyes on him. And I had been single out of, say, from being 20, 20 to 50, I had maybe 8 years of relationships in those 20 years. And maybe not even that many. So that was saying I'm single 2/3 of my life. But I always felt like, there's just going to be a day when I turn around, and that's a belief system. I was told about it when I was 20, and I remember thinking, I didn't want that planted in my head. Somebody told me they even said, you're going to meet him when you're 50 to 51 years old, and it's going to take you 3 to 5 years to go into union. I remember being totally disheartened by that. And I sometimes wonder what effect that did have on me. And, but what they want you to know is that you choose. And when you put the answer outside of yourself, and you put the question outside of yourself, and you say, you write somebody, or you get on a call with someone like me and say, can you tell me if this is my twin? I tell people, no, I can't tell you if it was your twin. I can guide you to a lot of really great questions. I can guide you to things where you can identify what lesson and what commitment, what communication that you may have committed to with this person. What impact are you having? What's your belief system? But if you want me to be the one that tells you if somebody is your twin, you've completely given away your power. Because I can tell you they are, and then the next reader will tell you or they're not, or the next psychic or the next medium or the next person. Well, then you're just down a rabbit hole of confusion, because the truth is that's happening to you because you're not asking the question inside here. That's where the answer is. Nobody will ever be able to take away the experience that I had in terms of that this man, when he finally did show up and we got to meet each other and we would spend all the time together that we did initially, and I realized, like, I just loved everything about him. I wanted every fear and doubt I've ever had in my life to go away because I didn't want it reflected on him. I didn't want him to feel doubt because of my previous experiences. I didn't want to have him feel distrust because I had a lot of distrust for men. Growing up, I had those experiences. My dad had a child with a woman when I was, I believe, 9 years old, and had 6 kids at home. And so, there was this whole, and he went on, and he actually spent the rest of his life with that woman a few years later when they finally got together, and they spent 40 some years together. So that relationship is like, that's the way it happened. But it caused me to distrust men, and when my own dad can't be loyal, when my own dad doesn't care enough to stay at home and he has 6 kids, well, then men must be this, and it took me a long time to move that stuff out of the way, but I did it because I'm always on a journey of self-discovery. And I can tell you that the answers that you're seeking, I can help people ask really good questions. I can talk to you for an hour and give you so much great information to think about that you can then go and work on. But I am not the one to come and ask the question, is this my twin? Will we be together? You both have free will. I don't know if you'll be together. What are your belief systems? What karmic relationships? What are they clearing up in their past? That person that came and got a girl pregnant, and then his loyalty is nature is loyalty. That man might stay with that woman for the rest of his life and never even be happy after that because he thinks it's the right thing to do. I'm not big on settling. I'm not big on unhappiness. I don't support unhappiness. I don't think that's what our soul came here to do. So I talk to people about what message are you leaving that children. There are children on the earth right now, young children, teenagers and young adults that are like, I've been taught to settle for everything because my parents settle for everything. My parents aren't happy. My parents don't love each other. My parents don't get along, so I guess that's normal. So it's no big deal that I don't get along with my boyfriend. It's no big deal that my boyfriend fools around. It's no big deal that my girlfriend, the girl that I'm loving, is flirting with other guys. It's no big deal my mom stays home and cries, so I stay home and cry. If you really want to be impactful and lead by example, you follow your heart and you teach them to do the same. Loyalty can be really misguided on the earth, and there's children suffering as a result of it. And children are so smart, they see everything. I've had more kids tell me, my parents think we don't know, or my parents think I don't know. They just take advantage of the fact they think their parents are stupid. And so they get away with shit because of that reason, if that makes sense. So what the message is that it's inside of you, that answer. You don't go looking for it outside. You might need guidance to get the answer. You might need guidance as to how do I trust my own intuition. You might need guidance of what kind of questions do I ask. But to ask me, is this my twin? I talk about the most ego, a question that's based entirely in ego is, will I meet a man? Will I meet a woman? Will I meet somebody? I don't know. Do you leave your house? I know I might be coming across a little, forward and harsh, but what I'm saying is, do you leave your house? Do you go to the grocery store? Do you speak to people? Do you talk to people online? Yes, of course, anybody can meet a man. They literally can just go to the grocery store and do that. What your question really is, is, am I going to find a mate that's suitable for me? That's another question. It's like, I don't know. Where are you in alignment with your own self, your truth, your self-worth, your self-love? What is your attractor factor to that man? Am I in the highest? What do I need to be what do I need to do in my internal life story and soul to be a vibrational match for an amazing, wonderful man to come to me? That's a very different question. And that's a question I can help somebody with. Somebody says, I'm going to meet a man. I'm like, oh my God, I hope you didn't pay me to ask me that. Because that will be my answer. So I work with people that want to get real and look at themselves from a real standpoint, not beat yourself up, but are willing to say, what's my role in this story? You know, not seeing my twin for a year, I am not going to lie, this has not been easy. I mean, it was like going from, 8 times a day to nothing. And I mean, that went on for, 2 solid years at least, And I could literally telepathically say to him, I'm having a bit of a day. Can you come by? And he would drive by 4-6 minutes later. I might have been hearing him in advance 12 minutes later. I'd say, can you drive by and use the highway today instead of being all the way over at the service road? Because I would get a lot closer look at him if he passed in front of my house on the highway. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes later. I mean, it was like he must have literally, his office was just over the hill here, but it was like he must have literally left the building when I'm telepathically asking for him to do that. And something he doesn't know is he would drive by my house, like come right on my street and drive by house in the mornings when it was dark out in the winter, when it stayed darker. And I don't know if he doesn't know that I didn't know that or didn't see him, but I think, like, what's his heart doing for him to do that? What's his heart doing for him to come off a highway, come into a community, drive right by my house, and every time I ever saw him do it, he would drive one way, and because he had that emblem in the window, and then he'd turn around and he would drive the other way. So I'd see him like 2 times in a minute, and this might be 7:30 in the morning. So it was, for me to say, I don't wonder if he thinks about me. Well, clearly he thinks about me. So if I was letting myself and that self-talk run the show, then my outcome is going to match that. So just be cognizant. If you believe that the twin relationship is just somebody that can bring you the highest and best love and version of yourself, yes, absolutely. There can be tons of them on the earth. There can be a fabulous man waiting to come into your life, but if you don't trust man, that guy doesn't have a chance anyways. And if he's in a place of self-love, self-worth, and self-esteem, he's not going to stay for our doubt. You could have the greatest woman in your life show up, but boy, if you don't trust women, you don't even give that soul a chance. And they're going to say, you know what, I've worked at this. I really don't want to work at this any harder because relationships shouldn't be this hard. I shouldn't have to be proving myself what do you mean, where was I when I went to the grocery store? If you don't trust people, you'll be reflecting that on your partner. If you need to control your partner's actions, if you need them to stay home because you're scared if they went out for a bar for one night and played pool with their buddies or went golfing with their buddies, that for some odd reason your relationship is going to end and they're never going to come home, that's a reflection on you. And if that person's behavior does match that, then you'd say, why am I with somebody that does that? You still look in here to get the answer. So I hope that helps. This turned out to be quite a bit of a same point but different discussion. The video seems to be working this time. I don't know why I didn't figure that out the first time. I guess that message wasn't meant to go out that way. You can catch me on facebook.com/Wisdom of the Catholics. I don't spend a lot of time on that page right now because of the other things that I'm doing in my businesses and stuff. But I do feel drawn to, kind of maybe jump back in and help people with some of this right now, because there's a lot of people that are hurting by being stuck in the fantasy versus the reality, not recognizing their belief systems are driving their story. And that goes the same whether it's money, love, health, it doesn't matter, and those are kind of the areas that I guess I help people with the most, but really it would be more self-esteem, self-love, self-worth, and then what is the self-expression that I'm putting out in the world, and then this is what's coming back. So if this is what's showing up, we don't go look at the external world, we look at our internal world. Why am I a vibrational match for nobody that can be trusted? Why am I a vibrational match for men that can't commit? And then you'd say, where am I not committing? Where am I not standing in my own stuff? Where am I, there's some people that literally are intentionally, subconsciously, but intentionally attracting partners that can't commit, because that way they can never fully be disappointed when somebody doesn't stay because we expected it to happen, right? That's not about the other person. They're just showing up over and over again till we get the message that we look inside at that, right? Why? What is going on in me that I can't uphold a committed, loving relationship, and that I have to find that? That story's about what it's us. It's not about the external. And I can tell you that when you empower yourself with the inner story, it starts to show up in your outer world. And that's when you really start to step into your own. That's when the relationship doesn't take up your heart and your time so much. I don't even know how he's doing right now. And that is not a comfortable place for me, but I'm accepting it. I'm accepting it, that's where he's at. He's choosing to stay at whatever he's doing, out on the ranch, so to speak. And I mean, I've been through all sorts of emotional roller coasters over this in the last year, and not just for this particular reason, just because when you start to go really into the journey of helping people and helping people with their, I kind of consider myself a conscious conversationalist at this time, because that's what I'm really good at helping too, is to help people have a conscious conversation, even more than coaching or anything like that. How conscious are you? How accountable are you being for your own self and your story and what that's going to bring you? So God bless. I hope this was of value to you. Send me a note or reach out to me. Jump on if you do want to talk about having a session with me, and if you feel that I can be of assistance of you, and I think that I've come across in this video enough to know that I'm going to guide you in a way that may be very different than other people. And when you ask a question from ego, I'm going to say, hey, that question's really mired from the ego, and it's mired in doubt, and it's mired in insecurity. Let's ask a better question. And I can tell you, I have had people sitting in front of me like this, and they're so sad, and we're telling the story, and you start getting them to think of it in a different way. You start getting to ask questions, and at the end of the session, they're standing up, there's color in their face, they're sitting up, they're full of life, they're laughing, they feel better because they're getting some away. Now they can go away, and they have some information to work with that's going to help them feel better, especially in the moments that are tough. There's so much sadness and depression and everything on the earth right now, and that's what I'm really almost being guided to start talking about, because of the depression. The depression can be the greatest gift in your life if you actually frame it in a way that it becomes your teacher, and it can become something you really embrace, because it's showing you that how low your vibration is for you to be in that place. And really, if you do believe that I'm a spiritual being having an experience, I am vibrational energy, and as such, you work on that. You work on the vibration, you work on the energy, and things can shift very quickly for you. So God bless. Have a fabulous day. Diane, Wisdom of the Akashics.